welcome to another amazing episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. David Sorry. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening to our multitude of fans worldwide.
Wow. Thank you for worshiping us here on this wonderful Sunday evening.
Worship might be a harsh word, but
it was. I was being dramatic.
Yeah, that was a little dramatic. but we appreciate you listening, no matter where you are in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Good call. Good call on that one. Yes, we do. So we supposedly have an amazing episode for you guys today.
It's in the works. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So Jodi Jacobson, who is a psychic medium and a Salem witch, confirmed to me on Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday, that she was going to be on during the first hour, 7:00 hour. And great, no problem. Except at 7:00 hour, she's not here yet. So what we are going to do is we're going to do the show like we normally would. We have another batch of amazing stories for you.
Yeah.
Until she gets here. And then once we see that she is in the backstage, we will then break off from our stories and obviously bring her on to do this. This hasn't happened in a long time. And we often joke about shows that go awry and how we have to find something. And my favorite one is obviously, if you go way, way down in the archives, I don't even think it's on any platform. I think you would have to go to odysseyparanormalsociety.com to the Odyssey Files tab to the Plan B show. And that was the only one where, like, 10 minutes before the show, we got notified that our guest wasn't going to be able to come on. And with 10 minutes, it's tough to come up with the show. But thankfully, we were only an hour at that point in time.
Yeah.
So the Plan B show is what happened last time. But we are pumped and ready to do listener stories as we normally would. And as soon as Jodi is able to get on, we will obviously
cut away. It'll be like breaking news.
There we go.
It'll be like cut a flash. We'll cut away. We'll cut away from stories. We'll finish our thought quickly, and then if we need to, we'll come back to our answer, because there's some good questions got sent in this week. So
yeah,
and
sure.
The first one for you that I picked for you is absolutely just. It's my greatest gift I could give you for Halloween, since I won't see you on Halloween. It's my gift, my Halloween gift for you.
Gotcha. Well, great. I'm actually looking forward to it, because I have read to know what it is. So without further ado, let's start the mailbag. The Odyssey Files is proud to present the mailbag. Alrighty, so here it is. So number one, was it a dream or possibly real? Hi guys, I'm curious if either of you have experienced sleep paralysis or dark and scary shit after watching or when watching paranormal shows or movies. For many years, my significant other and I would fall asleep while watching or listening to ghost adventures. I guess my question is, does watching stuff like that attract and bring bad energy into your home? I have experienced several sleep paralysis moments and other super terrifying stuff too, like something hovering over me and holding me down, loud screeching in my ears, and watching something or a shadow move from my feet to my face under my blanket. Now that I have decided to entirely stop watching ghost adventures, the sleep paralysis has completely stopped. Is there some type of connection that I need to be aware of? Yes, absolutely. I think it goes without saying, it's been scientifically proven that if you watch ghost adventures, demons will come into your house. And that's my answer.
That's
I'm
it.
just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, wow. I was going to expecting you to run with that one, dude. You didn't.
Well,
You handed off the baton after 4 steps there.
Well, the joke was that because we've answered this question many times before.
Yeah, we have actually,
and it's always the answer's no. So I thought the funny joke would just be yes. If you watch Ghost Adventures, horrible things are going to happen to you, so everybody should just stop watching.
There you go.
And that's all you really need to say, or all I really needed to say.
Okay.
But in seriousness, there is a correlation because not because you're watching Ghost Adventures. Unfortunately, I can't put it directly on that show. That just happens to be what you're watching. But any movie, any horror movie, really any show that you watch right before you go to sleep is going to stay in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know why. It's actually kind of funny to me. So I don't watch paranormal television really at all anymore. But I do binge watch other shows. And for whatever reason, anytime that I'm watching for an hour or two or whatever before I go to bed and I shut it off and then go right to sleep, I have some sort of dream that involves that show. It's crazy, it's weird, but I'm just like, okay, whatever. I mean, they're never nightmares. So probably because they're not paranormal. But it sticks with you. I mean, even doctors and what do they say? At least like 20 minutes. You shouldn't watch any TV before you go to bed. Like there's a certain time limit that you should shut off the television before you go to sleep to get that out of your head. So the fact that you're watching Zach and the crew act like morons and scream and be scared of shadow figures and all this other stuff sticks in your head. And so when you go to sleep, that's what you dream of. So is there a correlation? Yes. But does it bring bad energy into your house? No, unfortunately, I can't claim that. Not without really giggling to myself quite extensively. But it's just you and your subconscious and your imagination. You are just carrying that over into your dreams as to what you're watching. Because you stopped watching it, you no longer have that in your head when you go to bed. Therefore, you no longer dream of it. So you kind of just fixed yourself on that one. So congratulations, 1, on fixing yourself, and 2, on making the amazing decision to never watch Ghost Adventures again.
Cool.
That's my answer.
Okay. So I definitely agree with some of the stuff that you're talking about. The question I would have here would be, did your significant other also suffer from sleep paralysis or bad dreams because of having something paranormal in your frontal lobe? Basically, it's right fresh in your conscious mind, and then it gets shifted back to your subconscious because it's the last thing that you saw. And then obviously it can affect your sleep and your dreams. But I'd be curious if your significant other had any type of issue with it. And also, I'm not sure that watching any type of TV causes sleep paralysis. So if you're having what you consider to be sleep paralysis so frequently, several moments anyway. So I don't know what several moments are. I don't know if that's once a month or, 3 times a year. I guess it could be different for everybody. But to me, it sounds like it was happening frequently, like once a week is kind of where my mind is going. So if you're having like a sleep paralysis moment once a month, I think you should go get a physical, because something's going on. It's not paranormal TV that's causing you to have some type of medical issue where you're having a hard time waking up and you're still in REM sleep when you're waking up. And so you're in 2 different places simultaneously and you're freaking yourself out. I don't know. I honestly don't have a medical answer for how it stopped entirely when you stopped watching paranormal TV. I agree with Mike. Ghost Adventures had nothing to do with it. I know he hates the show, but I could tell you, as a person who still watches paranormal TV occasionally, there are there's worse shows than Ghost Adventures that you could watch that would cause sleep. Like, there's shows that I watch that don't cause nightmares, but they cause me to just like ponder how it is that they're actually on TV. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say congratulations, the fact that you're not having sleep paralysis anymore. I don't understand the concept of having sleep paralysis from watching paranormal TV. But if somehow that cured you, I think that's wonderful. As far as their connection, man, if there is, I don't know what it is.
So the only thing, the only thing that I would add to that is it might be a misunderstanding of what sleep paralysis is. I mean, because nothing in his things that he talked about, his examples of it, of what he was experiencing, did he say that I couldn't move or something was holding me down? Like,
I'm thinking it's nightmare. I don't think it's sleep paralysis. I think it's just bad dreams from having paranormal shit as the last thing that you saw, and your brain hasn't had time to clear itself.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking he's using sleep paralysis in the wrong terminology.
Context, okay.
In the wrong context. There we go.
Right.
So I just wanted to throw that out there that might be also the case.
I would agree with you there, and then it makes more sense to me. It totally makes sense that if you're having bad dreams and then you stop watching paranormal TV or falling asleep to paranormal TV, then obviously your dreams are going to go back to something on more of a normal pattern. And it makes total sense that it's not the last thing that you were watching as you fell asleep. So therefore your mind isn't stuck in this paranormal loop. And it's going back to, memories of great times at your grandma's house, or the camping trip you were on, or, your birthday party at work, or whatever dream you're having, fishing with your dad. So that makes total sense to me that it would be bad dream, but sleep paralysis was throwing me off. All right, moving on. Number 2, is someone or something harassing me? Hello, I wanted to know if something or someone is here with me. I've had some strange happenings over the past few weeks, and I'm running out of ways to explain them. For context, I'm alone all the time, so it's not another person playing tricks on me. Here's the list of recent stuff. Number 1, my garage door opens by itself. I checked for any signs of intruders and was unable to find anything. The garage door was locked. Number 2, whistling in my ear in the middle of the night. Very loud and very clear, as though someone was whistling right next to me. Number 3, loud knocking on my kitchen door or my cabinet doors when I was making the dog's food. Solid knocks, as though you'd be knocking on someone's front door, not just faint little taps. Number 4, my headphones flying off the cabinet when I was doing the dishes. They are positioned on there in a way where they're secured by 2 speakers on either side, too high up for the dogs to reach or for them to knock them off. Number 5, feeling my hair being played with and or a hand brushing against my shoulder. Number 6, waking up around 3 a.m. to my lamp being turned on. This is turned off as soon as I get into bed. It's a touch lamp, and there's no issues with the electricity. Number 7, I had recently woke up to go to the bathroom, and the house felt like a sauna. I checked the thermostat, and it was set to 79 degrees. I always turn the heat way down before bed, as I like to sleep in the cold air. For clarification, the thermostat also needs to be manually turned on, and I don't have my heating set on a timer. Also, I had just put new batteries into the thermostat yesterday morning. While this is all friendly things happening, I'm getting a little bit tired of it now. I did move my Ring camera into the living room last week, but all it was picking up was the dogs jumping on the furniture. I think the spirits must know when they're being filmed and don't like to show off. I can't feel any change in energy, but something is obviously happening. Also, the dogs don't really seem to be sensing anything, but one of them has been barking at seemingly nothing at the bottom of the stairs. What the hell is going on? Okay, so I'm going to start backwards here. The fact that you said that your dogs don't seem to be sensing anything, but that one of them is barking their ass off at seemingly nothing at the bottom of the stairs is contradictory. And I would go with the fact that your dog is barking at what you don't see at the bottom of the stairs, but obviously what your dog sees at the bottom of the stairs. So that right there would be a strong case for me with everything else that you listed, the 7 other things that you listed, as being potentially the fact that you're in some type of paranormal situation. I have no explanation for the headphones. I have no explanation for your hair being played with and a hand brushing against your shoulder. The lamp is a touch lamp. It's possible you've got animals, you've got other things. You could accidentally roll over and hit it. You know, that would be something that a paranormal investigator would dismiss unless it got caught on camera or something like that, or we were at the house doing an investigation. The thermostat's odd. The loud knocking on the cabinet door is odd. So here's what I'm going to say. Yeah, there's something going on at the house. Yes, there's something trying to reach out and connect with you. It doesn't seem to be malicious in any way, shape, or form. The fact that it's brushing its hand against your shoulder and your hair played with is kind of, to me, more of a loving type of thing. The lamp being turned on is just something to get your attention if that's really happening. The headphones moving also, that would be something to get your attention. The thermostat change, the knocking on the cabinet, these are all things that something that's in your house is trying to get your attention because it has some type of communication that it's trying to get through to you. So the fact that you understand that it's friendly is good, that you're not scared, that's good. I'm glad the word demon didn't come into play here, because this is not what I would consider to be anything bad. I can understand that you're getting a little tired of it, but I think the problem with that is that you're not opening yourself up to receive the message that somebody's trying to give you. And until you do, you're probably going to continue on its path of trying to get your attention. And that might move into more and more things, because spirits, if they really want to get a message out to you, will continue to do stuff. And if something doesn't work, such as brushing your hair doesn't work, or turning on a light doesn't work, or knocking on a cabinet door doesn't work, they're going to continue to move forward with other things. And then sometimes those other things can be considered to be negative or dark, like pushing you in the back, scratching you, stuff like that. If you can't sense what's happening there, I would say reach out to somebody, reach out to a friend who might know somebody. You know, I would go with a word of mouth referral on a medium, and I would get a medium in, and I would find out what's going on, because the message is being sent. You're not picking up on it. I think that it's time to call in a psychic medium, somebody who can determine and understand what the message is that's trying to be sent to you. So that, and I think once that message gets delivered, all of the stuff that's starting to annoy you will stop. So
I'm actually quite surprised that you did not throw out the set your boundaries spiel.
Well, I got to leave something for you. Can't eat all the meat off the bone.
Sure you can. I know I would.
Well, you would. Very true.
And have multiple times.
Yeah, exactly. And proven it multiple times that you would. Yep.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think somebody is definitely trying to reach out to her in some fashion, whether it's to get a message or whether it's just to be one of those, I'm here and I want you to know that I'm here and I want you to acknowledge me that I'm here. And I'm going to keep doing this until you do.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would add to the list of possible debunking was with the garage door. Those things work on frequency.
Yeah.
A lot of, if you live in a development with a lot of homes, it could be one of your neighbors. It could be trying to reprogram theirs, and they go through all the frequencies, and yours just happens to open.
I think it's an actual garage door, not
right.
what you're thinking.
I'm
like
thinking
an actual door.
Oh, you're thinking like the door to the house?
Yeah, you're thinking overhead door because it says the garage door was locked. So to me, that I'm thinking more like an actual, like your front door, right? It was locked, obviously. I mean, I guess it could be the other one too, but that's not what I thought when I read it. I thought it
Gotcha.
was more of like an actual physical door, not an overhead garage door.
Well, when they said,
But totally agree with you on the fact that they run on frequencies, and it's the same thing with like a neighbor having a remote for a TV that's on the same as yours, and then all of a sudden your channel's changing arbitrarily sometimes,
yeah,
which would be annoying as hell if that happened. But it has happened. It's not like it's a rare thing; it happens. So
yes, it definitely has, especially in like apartment buildings,
oh yeah, if you live close,
townhomes
yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, so I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, I definitely think that there's probably an entity. I shouldn't even say entity. There's probably a spirit of some nature who is trying to either, as Dave said, give you a message or just let you know that it's there. So if it's actually bothering you and maybe you don't want the message, I'd have a hard time believing that you wouldn't, but it happens every once in a while. Then just set your boundaries. Say,
yep,
look, I know that you're here. You know, you haven't done anything to harm me. I don't care that you're here. Uh, I just ask that you don't do anything in my presence. You know, if I'm in a room, please go someplace else or remain quiet. So I don't know that you're here. Um, you know, and I think once that happens, I think you'll find a dramatic change. Either you've acknowledged it, or you know, you've kind of set the rules down, which they will follow. If you are interested in maybe hearing a message, if they have one, or finding out who exactly it is, then yes, as Dave said, bring in a medium, bring in the paranormal team, somebody who is trained to actually make that communication. Please, for the love of all that is holy in the world, don't do it yourself. Don't bring in a recorder and, you know, a REM pod or whatever and start conducting your own EVP sessions.
or a Ouija
Uh,
board.
or a Ouija board. Yes. For the love of God, don't buy Spirit Box and start turning it on. You're only going to make things way worse for yourself if you do that. So please don't. That's all I got for that one.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Still no Jody, so we'll move on to number 3. Puckwedgies or Fae? So I live in northern Michigan, the lower peninsula, and I have been seeing these weird little creatures out of the corner of my eye. It started right after I moved to this 10-acre property that's mostly forest. At first, I thought they were just really fast raccoons or maybe rabbits. Yesterday, I was out moving some leaves with the blower, and I moved to my left to push them further back into the woods and out of the driveway. Suddenly, this 1.5, maybe 2 foot creature jumped up and skittered away from me. It stopped for a couple seconds to glare at me and then ran behind a tree and just poof, it disappeared out of existence. It was different shades of brown, human shaped, with beady little black eyes. Scared the crap right out of me. My wife and I have been wondering what they are since we both are catching quick glimpses on a frequent basis. They don't seem to bother us too much, but the dogs certainly notice something is out there. When we check for people or critters, most of the time there's nothing we can see. I heard, oops, I lost it. Accidentally closed the thing. All right, here we go. I heard a long time ago that if you leave sweet berries for them, like plant strawberries, they will leave you alone. We haven't planted anything, but we do have wild strawberries and blackberry bushes all over. I usually leave one area alone just in case. I have done some research on my own, but I'm honestly just more confused. I don't mind them being here, though. Do you guys have any ideas what might be happening? Yes, I do. So I definitely think you may actually be dealing with a puckwedgie. I mean, what you're talking about is like textbook. I mean, the way they look, The fact that every once in a while you can't even see them. They can be invisible if they want. Um, and they're always around like forest. Oh, I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times they're around forested areas. Um, so I don't think you meant it like this, but just in case you did, I want to point out that whether you care if they're there or not, uh, really is irrelevant here. You can't get rid of them, and you're not going to get rid of them. Um, so, I mean, I like the fact that you have the mentality of, they haven't harmed us. It's good, good that they're here. We don't really care. That is the proper mentality to have. The sweet berries is, yes, a very, very good offering. But and the reason why they might be glaring at you is because you are, in essence, moving around nature. Even when you're blowing leaves off your grass or whatever, that is you like displacing parts of nature, and they might not like that. I think the best thing that you can do is make sure that none of those strawberry bushes and blueberry, blackberry, or whatever they were bushes are ever removed or allowed to die, cut down, all this stuff. And I would offer some yourself. Um, wherever you see them, like if you see them in a certain part of your yard where there aren't any bushes, either plant them, plant some, or when you go to the supermarket, maybe buy a bushel, put them in a bowl, and put them out there, and just say these are for you, as an offering. And I definitely think that even though you may still catch eye on them, I think you're really helping yourselves out to have them not change their mind about you, and try to get rid of you. Because when they decide that you are too much of a pain in their ass on the land, they will change their attitude towards you. Like the activity, you won't just be seeing them running away from you. You'll be seeing them in your home. They will do stuff to really mess you guys up. So
it'll be critters. It'll be like the movie Critters. Don't put any water on them. That's bad.
Yes. Isn't that Gremlins? Gremlins is water.
Gremlins with water, but I just happened to watch and God, I don't know why, because I want my hour and 48 minutes back. But I happened to watch the movie Critters the other night because I couldn't fall asleep. Good God, it's a horrible movie. I mean, I'm sorry. If somebody's listening and like they were in the movie or they directed the movie or whatever, congratulations on both. But for me, I want my hour and 48 minutes back.
Job poorly done, my friends, is what
I mean, it has like 2 moments out of, so 4 minutes out of 148 or whatever the runtime is.
So you only need 144 minutes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's my answer is make sure you keep them appeased, and that you don't get the whole, you don't ever change the mentality to this is my land and they need to leave, because it was their land long before you were even born, and you will not be getting rid of them in any way, shape, or form. So appease them, learn to live with them, and go about your life, and they will go about theirs. And make sure you don't tamper with nature. Don't start cutting down trees because you want to put in a hot tub or anything like that, because things will change for you very quickly if you do.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of coexistence, right? And I don't know that it's necessarily a puckwedgie. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I will say that I totally think that it's some type of elemental being, some type of nature being, some type of fae that's out there. I think Mike's advice is good. I mean, obviously, you need to blow leaves out of your driveway, right? So it's if they're upset that you're blowing leaves out of the driveway, I would just walk outside and just have a conversation. Be like, look, here's what I'm going to do in the yard today, right? It's there. The land belongs to something long before mankind showed up. Right, the earth was around long before mankind was brought into existence. So, I would say that just state your intention, and you'll be just fine. Just like, hey, I'm going to blow some leaves in the driveway today. I need to get them out of the way so we don't track them all in the garage. It's going to be loud for a half hour, and then go about and do your business. I don't think that you're going to upset anything. I love the idea of leaving something for them. So if you want to leave that berry patch, I think that's a great idea. If you happen to go to like some farm stands and you buy like a bushel of apples, or you buy this or that, and you get, or you buy some produce from the store and you don't finish it in time, and some, apples get a little soft or whatever, instead of tossing them, I would cut them in half and put them outside, because if they're going to appreciate the thought. If they don't eat it, it's okay. Because if you're living in wooded 10 acres in northern Michigan, I guarantee you that there's the deer and the fox and other animals that are on your property or in your neighborhood are going to be more than happy to come over and have a nice fruit basket at your house. And so you're helping nature in general. I would assume, and this is, I think, kind of a rational assumption, that if you bought a house in the woods of 10 acres, that you like the woods, that you like living in the woods, and you like your privacy. Most people that would buy a 10-acre house in the woods don't want to be in an environment where they've got neighbors, 5 feet away from them every day. So with that in mind, I'm guessing that you already appreciate and respect nature. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have bought a house in the woods like that. So coexist, have a great time, leave out a couple of offerings, state your intentions. I don't think you got anything to worry about. I think it's cool as hell, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that would be, I would love to buy my next house on, 20 acres of land and have some nature spirits, some nature elementals there hanging out, and every once in a while see them and, hey, how's it going? And, leave them something, and because they're going to watch the land for you. And so they would watch the land for me, and they're going to take care of the place in ways that I can't. And so it's a beautiful coexistence. So I like that story. Unlike this one. So are you done with 3?
I am done with 3. I just want to say about this next one, I am mildly upset that
you didn't get it.
That I didn't get it first, but that's okay.
That's okay. You're mildly upset about not getting stories every single week. So that's just how it goes. I give you good ones, and then you're like, well, I like that one. Well, I can't help it. I like it too. So, okay, number 4. Do demons use racial slurs? Hey, from the stories I've heard of people being plagued by a demon or demons, they say that the demons tell them horrible things. What exactly are those things? As an example, would a demon call someone the N-word to hurt them, or make them sad or angry, or say they are queer when they are not, or call someone's mom a whore? Just a few thoughts off the top of my head. Do you think stuff like that happens? I think that happens all the time. And what do you think a demon is going to do when it talks to you? Do you think it's going to tell you really good? Now, I will say this. There are some really demons, I think, that are intelligent, that have learned how to manipulate the human psyche and manipulate things like pride and ego in order to work their way in quicker and more efficiently. I think that they've progressed. But
they've evolved.
They've evolved. I think some have. And it's a hierarchy type of thing. That's why there's Legion. So in the hierarchy, there are some intelligent demons out there in the hierarchical standings. And then I think you have your foot soldiers that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And the only thing that they do is what they're told to do. And they don't think for themselves. And you have that group too. And in that group, I think they're just going to say whatever the hell is they're going to say, because that's what they're told to do. They're not thinking about it. So anyway, do I think that a demon would say something horrible to you, like call you the N-word, or talk about your mom, or call you gay when you're straight, in order to piss you off or upset you or get your anxiety going? get your energy ramped up. Absolutely. I'm almost going to throw a 100% stamp on this. As close as I can get to a 100% stamp, that I'm going to give to this, because a demon is going to do whatever it needs to do to get the response that it needs from you that it's looking for. And if it's something verbal, and something that's easy that it knows is going to upset you, you're going to get bombarded with it. That's part of the horrible things that they tell you to do. The other horrible things that they tell you to do would be things like, kill your sister while she's sleeping, light your mom on fire, take the neighbor's dog and gut it and nail it to a cross and put it in their front yard. Those are the kind of things that mankind doesn't come up with on their own. That's the kind of things that is the little whisper in your ear that tells you that it's okay to do that, or we should check this out. It'll be cool. Let's do this. That little whisper, that's what a demon really is. That little whisper that tells you to do stuff that you would never think of doing on your own. So think like simple words like this. That's just the beginning. That's like the baby stages. If there was 100 levels, and there's more than that, I'm sure, but let's just, for conversation's sake, let's say that there's 100 levels of, how a demon can piss you off and the level that they'll take it to, with 100 being maximum bombardment. Using hurtful words is probably number 3 on a scale of 1 to 100, maybe 5. So I think that it's pretty low on the totem pole. Human beings use hurtful words to each other all the time, every day, every moment of the day. So I think it's really low on the totem pole for a demonic entity trying to work its way into your existence to use racial slurs and or other things, like a racial slur, like calling you queer, or saying that your mom's a whore, which I found this question to be funny. Sorry, but
I did too. I found it to be funny just because for somebody who has heard that demonic entities do this kind of stuff, he had like a lot of examples
yeah,
for things that could be done.
Right.
So I think his main question revolves around like when somebody is possessed, like when they're trying to do an exorcism and stuff like that. Like that's when they really start to throw out, the psychological stuff. And the one thing that everybody needs to understand about demonic entities is they can look into your soul, they can look into your mind, and they can pick and choose whatever they want that will hurt you or upset you or get that reaction that they want the fastest and the most intense.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, and the thing about it is I know that you're using things like the demonic entity calling you the N-word. Well, if you don't really care about the N-word, it's not going to use it because it's not going to bother you.
No, right. It would have no effect. So it wouldn't waste time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you thought your mom was a whore, it's not going to call your mom a whore because you're just going to be like, yeah, so.
Yeah,
And
right. I've been saying that my whole life. Yeah, exactly. Not that I have. Sorry, Mom.
No, exactly. But I mean,
right.
It's going to choose and start bringing out the most horrible things that you regret the most and that upsets you the most.
It's usually your skeleton in the closet is what they're going to pull out.
And it's going to be very specific to you. Yeah. Like it's not going to be some generalized, derogatory word.
No.
Unless for some reason that derogatory word really affects you in some fashion. Right. And even then they're going to tailor it to whatever memory you have that makes it that way. Right. The only way, and I honestly don't know how, but I I believe this to be true. And, Ed Warren has said it the best, that the best thing that you can do before dealing with a demonic entity is go to confession. Because apparently if you confess your sins and you are forgiven for those sins, the demon can no longer see them.
Well, they can't use them against you is what you're doing, because you're purging your system of all of your sins.
Exactly. And
Right.
so if you, for whatever reason, are a complete homophobe and you would never, like, being called queer or gay would make you break a bottle over somebody's head or something like that in anger, if you were to purge that from your system through confession,
Right.
the demon wouldn't even know that that is something that would bother you to that point.
I know I know people like that. I've met people like that. That, like, for that simplicity, like, I had a friend who would not go see Elton John because he thought if he went and saw Elton John, that he'd turn gay. I mean, that's an honest to God true story out of my life. And I find it fascinating that the human mind works like that.
I don't find it fascinating. I find it sad, but
sad, fascinating, same thing, I guess, right? That's why psychologists are employed.
Right. In this context, it is roughly the same.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, is it going to use a derogatory term if that's what gets the reaction it wants from you? Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to point out, just as an example, if anybody saw, now I can't even remember the name of the movie, the one that Russell Crowe just did with Father Amorth.
Pope's Exorcist.
Pope's Exorcist, yes.
Good movie, especially for Halloween. So, yeah, good movie in general, too.
It is a very good movie. But in it, those, two priests, including Father Amorth, or Russell Crowe's character, are confronting a demonic entity, and it goes after this younger priest who didn't confess and called him a panty sniffer and all this stuff because he knew that he had acted in a unpriestly way. But then when he turned to Father Amorth, he really didn't know anything because he had just gone to confession.
Well, he went after him for that when he acted what the demon considered him to be a coward.
Yeah.
When he put the dead bodies on him instead of letting. Now, to me, that was just smart, right? Like, if you got 5 or 6 Nazis and your people that you're with are gunned down and you're the last one alive, and there's 6 on 1 and you have no weapon and they've already killed all your friends, I think it's really smart to smear blood all over you and then pull a corpse on top of you and just lay there still. I mean, to me, that's an intelligent move, not a cowardly move. Agreed. That's just human existence. That's just trying to keep yourself going for another day is what that is, especially in a war situation. But the demon used it against him because that's all the ammunition it could find. Exactly.
So, yeah. So do they? Yeah. But they do it in such a way that, it hurts.
And it'll get worse. Like, it'll get bad.
Yeah.
It'll start off with, like, some simple things. And then if it doesn't get, like Mike said, right, if it doesn't get the response it's looking for, it's going to go more hardcore and then more hardcore and then more. And it's just going to keep going. It's just going to keep escalating and escalating and escalating till they really find your buttons. And once they find your buttons and they find your pressure points, they're just going to hammer away on that all day long. They're just going to push that button all day, every day, all day, every day until you break. And you do something like light your family on fire in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. Because that's the kind of shit that happens when a demon breaks you. I mean, sorry to say it, but that's the kind of shit that happens. Kill your family in their sleep. Go to work, bring a gun to work and kill all your coworkers. That shit like that does not happen without some type of negative influence. And I know, people will be like, well, what, that's bullshit. The human mind, da 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 da. That's fine. I respect your thoughts. I respect your beliefs. I'm completely open to discussion on things like this. I don't have a concrete segmented. I don't have proof. It's just my personal feelings, and I respect other people's feelings if you think differently. But when something atrocious like that happens, it's negative. To me, it's a negative influence. 4th of July parade a couple years ago, last year, or the year before in Illinois, when the kid went up on the roof with an AK-47 and killed 17 people in the parade for 4th of July. Nobody does that. Nobody wakes up one day and does that for fun. Columbine, all the other shootings, shit like that, that's all influenced.
Okay, well, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
From this jolly conversation.
Well, you know,
anyways,
just throwing it out there, man. It is a show on the paranormal.
I'm aware. All right, number 5.
Number 5.
All right.
Go ahead.
It's mine.
I know it is.
Then why were you starting to read it?
Confusion set in.
Well, you are at that age.
I am getting to be that age. Yep. I'm creeping up on it.
All right. Number 5. Unexplained encounter at the cabin. A couple weeks ago, I was sharing a pull-out bed with my 12-year-old cousin at our beach house. I've never had anything strange happen here before this. I woke up around 2 a.m., looked over, and my cousin was sitting straight up, staring at the floor next to the bed, wide-eyed. I asked if she was okay, but got no response. And when I followed her eyes, I saw what I can only describe as an elf-sized, maybe 2 feet, shadow figure move from right next to her to the other side of the room. It was 3-dimensional until it got to the wall and then turned into a 2-dimensional shadow and went around the corner into my parents' bedroom. I jumped up and followed it, but it was nowhere to be seen. My cousin was still staring wide-eyed at her with her jaw dropped when I walked back into the room. I shook her to wake her, and when she quote-unquote woke up, she was a bit confused. I asked her what she just saw, and she explained exactly what I saw too. She said she couldn't move or make a noise. I immediately thought of sleep paralysis because I've heard of it before, and that was exactly what it sounded like. But if that was the case, why could I see her sleep paralysis? What do you guys think? Well, I definitely think that there's probably something in the room. Now, we've had the sleep paralysis discussion before, and Dave and I are at completely different opposite sides of the spectrum. But even I only went to like 80%. You know, that it's medical sleep paralysis when it happens. This is the kind of example that I would use for the other 20%. This I believe is a paranormal, supernatural event that is causing this 12-year-old cousin of hers to have some sort of sleep paralysis. And honestly, not even sleep paralysis, just paralysis.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, she was wide-eyed. She almost was acting like she was just in shock. Like it's one of those where you see something so unimaginable, like you freeze, you shut down. And for a 12-year-old girl to see, this little elf-like shadow right next to you, probably would do that. I also think it probably was trying to do something. What I don't know, whether good, bad, I have no idea. To this girl, it was trying to influence her, I think, in some way. And when it got caught by somebody who was actually awake and not under, its spell or whatever, it, shot off. So I do think that this was if it's going to be considered sleep paralysis, I do consider this to be a supernaturally caused episode and not medically induced. Solely for the fact of somebody wide awake was able to see it as well. And their stories matched. So that's all I got. I mean, honestly, just you said it was a couple weeks ago and nobody seems to have seen it since. Could have just been a passing, a visitation, one of those that was worth a try, and then on with life it went. As should you guys. So I don't think you are in any danger. Although I guess I would be not hesitant but cautious if you go back to this beach house or whatever again, just to make sure that it's not going to happen again.
Okay, so I've got two things. Number one, I think the story's cool as hell in the fact, for this simple fact, that it was a 3-dimensional form until it got to the wall, and then it turned into a 2-dimensional form. I think that is absolutely phenomenal experience. I have seen a lot of stuff in my day, but I have not, I can honestly say I have not witnessed a 3-dimensional shadow, like a shadow moving across the room or in the room with me, which I have seen more times than I care to have seen, in the room with me, and then like run to the wall, hit the wall, and actually turn into a shadow, 2-dimensional shadow on the wall. I think that's cool as hell. I'm kind of jealous, actually, that I have not seen that. And now, not that I'm going to ask for it to happen, but if it happens, it'd be cool. So, number two, I think that whatever this thing is not part of the cabin at all. I think it's attached to your 12-year-old cousin. I would just about bet that your 12-year-old cousin, this isn't the first time that he or she has had something like this happen. Is it what do I think it's a girl? Is it a girl?
It is a girl. She does say she and her.
Okay. So I thought, okay. So I think it's attached to her. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I definitely think it's attached to her. The reason it was there is because she was at the beach house. So it traveled with her. I would just about bet you that they haven't seen anything like this before this incident. And if your 12-year-old cousin, let's say, only comes out like once a year or something like that, like for a week in the summertime or something, and this happened while she was there, I would probably bet it won't happen again until she comes back. And even then, I think it's a slight chance, because as she matures, she's at that perfect age, man. 12 years old. So many things are happening in her body. This is a perfect opportunity to have something like this happen to her. And I think that's what it is. And as she matures, I think that whatever this is probably just going to move on, or it's going to disappear. If it is a poltergeist type thing, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is some type of poltergeist type of manifestation in an infancy stage, if it doesn't get fed what it needs, like we've talked about in previous shows, it's just going to dissipate and then cease to exist.
Did you freeze?
Need to be growing things out of creation of energy. So hopefully this thing just dissipates. So I would say that this is a once in a lifetime type of thing. To me, that's how I'm taking it. It's an amazing experience. You witnessed it with another individual, which I think is phenomenal. You both saw the same thing. Is it scary? Sure, it's scary. It's something that's unexplainable, and you don't understand what it is, and there's no answers. But from somebody who's been experiencing shit for a really long time, it's really cool that what you experienced is really rare. And somewhere, years from now, you're going to be telling stories about this like for the rest of your life. And I think that's great. And as a matter of fact, I probably will be telling this story to people about, one time I read blah, 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 and tell the story. That's how much I like it. So anyway, very cool. I don't think you have anything to worry about at all. I think it was just a great one-time experience. I'd be very surprised, very, very surprised if it ever happens again. And if it did, I would just about guarantee you it won't happen unless it's the same cousin who's at the house. So,
gotcha.
And if I'm wrong and something else is happening, update your story or question for us, and we will address it in our next show or in a future show if you want us to. So,
all righty. Well, perfect timing, because we're going to go to break. And when we come back, we'll obviously continue with stories, because still no Jodi.
Okay.
So see everybody on the other side.
This is Susan Slaughter from Paranormal Caught on Camera, introducing you to the most epic show ever, the Odyssey Files with David Soyering and Michael O'Neill. You're welcome. Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, this is Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters, and if you ever have time that you never want to get back, spend it listening to Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files.
This is Heather Taddy of Paranormal State and Alien Highway. I can't say that the Odyssey Files are out of this world, but Mike and Dave are quite abductable.
Hey, this is Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters, and you're listening to Dave and Mike on the Odyssey Files. It's not the best show you're ever going to listen to, but it's also probably not the worst.
This is Michelle Belanger, author of The Dictionary of Demons. What is faster than a speeding shadow person and more fun than an anal probe? It's Mike and Dave of the Odyssey Files. Hold on to your hats and buns.
This is Elizabeth Saint. You know, in my journeys I've confronted an over 1,000-year-old demon from the depths of Shepherdstown. But then, you know what happened? I came across Mike and Dave. And hot damn, nothing could have prepared me for the Odyssey Files. My second favorite radio show. I love you guys.
And we are back. Just the two of us.
Ta-da. Well, that's disheartening.
Yes, it is. Although, granted, Jodi was feeling under the weather and has been for quite some time. She was still going to come on the show. I mean, something might have just come up that she did not anticipate. So, if she does not show up for the second half of the show, we will get her rescheduled. So,
Yeah, and we have no show because all of my research is based on her and questions for her based on her life experiences. So I have nothing for the next hour. I don't want to do a show on witchcraft without having her on.
I agree.
Because there's too many questions.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it, right. That's what I mean. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So I think we should finish our stories.
Yep.
And then maybe this will be the trial run for 2 dudes and some chips.
I don't have any chips.
Oh, well, I do actually.
Well,
but
I don't, because I didn't prep for that either, because I didn't think that was coming.
All right. Well,
actually, if we do need to cut it short, and hopefully we don't. Hopefully Jodi looks at her clock and goes, "Holy crap! I was supposed to be on an hour ago," and shows up. If she doesn't, though, we can always blame it on the Sunday night game, which is Miami and Philadelphia, which is actually a good game that I wouldn't mind seeing. So
I almost like last time when there was a game on that we really wanted to watch, which was the Cowboys and 49ers.
Yeah, which the Cowboys got destroyed. That wasn't even a game.
No, it wasn't a game, but we thought it was.
Yeah, should have been. Yeah,
should have been, but wasn't.
Right.
We would started an hour early, so we could have. We weren't going to miss the show.
Yeah.
So we have that going for us. But anyway, we do have some more stories to.
Yeah, we got one good one left for tonight, which I think is interesting because I personally have experienced some of the stuff that's in this question that was sent into us, and I also have clients that this has happened to. So let's knock this out, and hopefully, spirits be willing, Jodi will get the cosmic message that we're sending her, and she will be looking at her watch, realizing that she should be here. So, number 6, spirits cooking in my kitchen. Hi, guys. So please tell me I'm not the only one experiencing this. I'm fairly certain that my house is haunted on some level. I don't know why or what spirits may or not be here or what the history of the house is other than it was built in 2008. I've never done a Google search on it because, to be honest, I'm a little afraid of learning things that I don't want to know. I live about an hour outside of Phoenix, Arizona in the rural desert. It could be built on an ancient Native American burial ground for all I know. I moved here 8 years ago, and within a couple of months of moving in, I started hearing faint noises I couldn't account for. It kind of reminded me of the noises that were at the turn of the century house I lived in Detroit, and the noises that they would make, like pipes creaking and banging, walls creaking, windows rattling when it got windy outside, steam boiler kicking on and off, etc., just at lower volumes. I've seen things in the past while in Michigan that I could only describe as apparitions. But this current house now has all plastic pipes inside, all electric appliances, electric heat, modern double pane windows, etc. No reason to be hearing old house noises. It would never be enough to disturb me at night. It was never obnoxious, and I never felt afraid of it. I'd occasionally joke about the ghosts and always just figured it was my super cheap appliances doing weird things, though the dishwasher would occasionally just turn itself on and run a cycle. Then it happened. I swear I could smell things being cooked in the kitchen. I'm the only one in the house, don't even have any pets inside. I'd wake up some mornings to the distinct smell of blueberry muffins or pancakes. Sometimes I'd come home from work and swear there was a hot pizza waiting for me. There have been times I've caught the smell of marijuana or cigars or a pipe being smoked. For context, I don't smoke at all, and none of my neighbors are close enough for the aroma to waft over. 8 years later, it still happens every few months. In a way, it's kind of neat, though sometimes I wonder if it's simply an odd response from my body for whatever reason. I'm curious if either of you or any of your clients have experienced anything similar. Okay. Dave.
Jodi's here, ready to go. Jodi's here.
Are we not going to answer the question after we read it?
No. Well, right. Sorry, I tried to get your attention, but you were focused on the story.
Yeah, I was looking at the story. I can't see the story and see you simultaneously. So
I understand. That's why I had to wait. So yeah, no, we're gonna go to Jodi because we're already behind.
All right. Well, I want to answer that question. So next week I'm rereading it.
That's fine. Perfectly fine. It's all residual anyway.
No, it is not.
All right. Anyway. All right. So we've been waiting for her to arrive all night long. The wait is finally over. And she's already apologizing. So ladies and gentlemen, here is Miss Jodi Jacobson.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Jodi.
Hi. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Got a little crazy at my store today. People were coming in. I was doing healings. I was talking to the dad. It's what I do. And it went over. So I just literally got into my house. I'm like, oh my God, I got to call you guys. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. Because you actually arrived right at the split between the first and second hour. So.
Well, I was going to say, so Dave, your story, I caught that tail end of that story. Amazing, number one. And number two, she's got a little old lady that's in her house. It is a dead person. It is an intelligent haunt. It is not a residual.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
She just comes by. She lived there at some point, and she comes by. She just wants to come in, and she does her thing. The veil is thinning, and so I feel the veil has kind of gone away a little bit more. People are kind of more open to the other world, and they're just making themselves known. It's like that they live almost like in a parallel with us. You know what I mean? And so they slip through with us once in a while. Yeah.
Yep.
So I just had to chime in on that.
No, perfect, because I was headed the same way. So,
crap. I already have a follow-up question to what you just said, but I really want to get to. Oh, this is like dealing with Cena.
Okay.
Well, this is perfect because I'm telling you what, I sent out a cosmic vibe not more than 90 seconds before you came on, and I said this energy is going out in the universe, and it's going directly to Jodi, and I'm sending it to her to let her know, hey, take a look at my watch. Oh my God, look what time it is. I need to go jump on and tell these guys what's going on. And I kid you not, then I started reading the story. I said it right before I read the story, and Mike's like, hey, she's here.
Yep.
So I'm not taking credit. I'm just saying that the universe is a beautiful place, and a lot of really beautiful things happen. And I'm glad that they were listening and able to channel my thought to you without getting interfered with, and that it got to you in time.
It was one of those things. I had a client that came in like right when we were closing up shop, and they needed a little help, and so it kind of detained me a little bit longer than I expected it to. But being a healer, and doing what I do, to me, it's about helping people. I'm all about the helping of people, and as you can tell, Mike, my voice is a little bit better. I'm slowly but surely getting better. I lost my voice last week, pretty significantly, but I'm doing better, and I just want to help people, and so I apologize. I'm so sorry. I got to help those that come to see me. So
No reason to apologize.
Exactly, and as I told Dave before we went to break a couple minutes ago, something might have come up that obviously required far more of your attention to that than us, and that is perfectly acceptable.
Thank you for being so understanding, you guys. I'm so sorry I'm late, but I'm here. I am here.
Yes, you are. And now you're going to answer this question before we get into Witchcraft. So, because you just said something that I never really heard anybody say before, and I want to know if there's a correlation. So you said that the veil is thinning because people are more open to it.
Yes.
So does that mean that the veil is based off people's openness to it and their or closed-mindedness to the other side?
It's actually neither. It's more of a fact that it's an energetic shift, and it has a lot to do with I got to get my hand to the right place. The polarity of the earth and the way it's tilting. So, and I know that sounds really weird. It's something to do with quantum physics. I am not the physics girl. Never took physics, but it's something to do with quantum physics. What I get at with the veil thinning, they talk about it because at this time of the year, it also happens in the spring. So it's two different opposites. Think like fall equinox, spring equinox, or you could think winter solstice and summer solstice. There's this parallel. With the veil thinning, they've always talked about it at this time of the year because it's a little bit thinner where people are more open to, yes, seeing spirits like what you're saying, Mike. But there has been this evolutional shift where frequencies are getting higher. And everybody has been noticing that. And it's like the veil isn't quite thickening up as much as it used to. It's kind of staying more thin. And I think a part of that is, yes, like you're saying, Mike, people are more aware of it and they are tuning in more, but there's something even more supernatural than just what we've ever experienced before. You're seeing a lot more. You guys deal with the paranormal all the time. I've never done the paranormal thing. In fact, when I met Mike last weekend, I was like so intrigued by all the equipment because I've never gotten to do this kind of stuff before. So this was kind of, fun because I've been able to see and talk to the dead my whole life, and I'm in my mid 50s. I'm 56. So for me, it's been different. What I have seen and what I'm noticing with my other medium friends and people who are psychic, there's been this weird shift. They keep talking about people ascending, this new world and all that kind of stuff. I don't go into it that way. It's not like we're going to drop from this world and only certain people are going to another earth. It's nothing like that. It's our vibrations are elevating. People are becoming more into yoga, meditation, trying to heal their bodies and heal themselves. I truly feel that when 2020 took place and we had that big pandemic, people went back in. They retreated inside. What did they do when they couldn't be out and about anymore? We started reading. We started watching YouTube videos. We started learning there's a whole big world going on out there besides the 9 to 5. And it piqued people's interest. And as they were intrigued by things and they were reaching out, whether they were reaching out to their own faith, whether they were reaching out to seek something new, it has shifted and changed the vibration. And I'm not seeing where at this time of the year where we normally can like see and talk to the dead a little bit more easily, and then it kind of gets a little bit harder and they just don't kind of quite come around as much unless you're calling them in. It's not like that. They're just walking around more randomly. And I would gather, again, this is your expertise, not mine. I would guess that when you guys are doing your paranormal investigations, are you not seeing more? People are coming out and saying, holy crap, I hear things, I see things are moving. It's more tangible. People are noticing it more, and it's just not stopping. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Since the pandemic, yes.
Yes.
For years, and Dave can confirm this, and anybody who's listened to the show, nothing ever happened around me ever.
No.
And I always say that I was as sensitive as a brick. And lately, over the last year, year and a half, something like that, I have gotten more. Like equipment will go off in my presence, or I'll hear footsteps, or I'll feel the static electricity more often. So yeah. But I was always told you need to be more open. And stuff like that. And so I've really worked on trying to do that, trying to relax a little bit, as opposed to, as the director of my team, I take the safety of my investigators very, very seriously.
Absolutely.
So always on edge, always like ready to get in there and protect them if need be. So it's taken me a lot of work to be like, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Right.
I can relax.
And that's a part of it, being somebody who runs the show, so to speak. Yes, you're gonna be watching out for their safety, you're gonna be watching out for their mental health, they're gonna watch out for any kind of an attack, whether it's, I don't know, maybe a vagrant is living in the building, in an abandoned building. You don't know. But I'm seeing such a change, because as people have been passing away, and before, like through this whole COVID experience, we were reaching out, we're learning more things, we're being more open to it. The world is changing. And it's not just our country, our culture. The whole world is changing in their thought process, and we're being more open to it. People who are my age, okay, in our mid-50s, we were born, we were raised in church, we did our church thing. And it was, you prayed, it was heaven, hell, and that was it. Well, it's not like that anymore. And you watch people on TV, and I'm sorry, I'm moving because I'm holding my camera here. You watch people on some of these like ghost hunter shows. Everybody, I love it because he's going to giggle, and everybody's like, oh, it's a demon. It's a demon. Dude,
no.
Demons aren't around like these TV shows are telling you. Number one, if there is a demon around or a negative entity around, it's probably an elemental that has never been human, that is attached to the earth, and they're more curious as to what the hell you're doing in their area. Why are you here? What do you want from me? I was minding my own business, hanging out over here at the stream, leaning up against my tree, and you people are coming in here with your bulldozers and moving stuff around, and you're disturbing my peace. I'm just here doing my thing. What do you want? We don't have all these horrible bad things. We have our dead relatives that hang around, our ancestors that hang around. They're checking in. They're just making sure you're okay. Good Lord. My mom is around me all the time. And so is my dad. And so are my grandma and grandpa. And it's not like I see them every second of every day. I don't. But all of a sudden, they'll chime in and it's like, hey, did you shut the outside water off? It's coming into winter. Shut off the outside spigots. You need to, do this, that, and the other. And I'll hear my mom, and I'll be like, well, Mom, I already did that, because usually I do it, beginning of October or whatever. And it's like, well, damn, if I didn't forget. So I have to go out and do it. So it's the little things like that where spirits are coming around more to check in on you. People are also, they're okay when we lose a family member, but they're grieving and it hurts. They're just trying to make sure you're okay. They're watching out for you. The residuals, I mean, yes, we do have residual energy. Is like, you go into, I live in Stillwater. I mean, good Lord, you guys, it's a great city. We have a lot of spooky stuff that happens there. Where am I? I am
right on the
the
river.
St. Croix River. Yep. So water, it's a conductor. Okay, I got to figure out a way to go with the finger that way. Number two, limestone, a lot of limestone, right? And that's huge. Also, this area used to be a huge Native American culture here with the Chippewa, right? And the Ojibwe. I hope I said that correctly. But we have reservations not far from here. There's some down by Red Wing. There's some just north of us, up in Hertel, Wisconsin. So we have a lot of different indigenous cultures. So there's a lot of different residual stuff. I mean, I have been out at the boom which is just north of Stillwater. Just go out there and sit and enjoy the moonlight on the water. And I hear drumming, and there's nobody around. And it's like, okay, am I hearing somebody maybe out in the neighborhood or something? Because it could be. Or is it residual? And you have to sit and think and sit with it. So then I tap in, and it's residual because my spirit guides are there. And every once in a while, I will see a Native American walking along the river and grabbing something, and it's not in our time frame. And I will see them just like you can see me on the camera. I see them in a full manifestation form. So yeah, there's all sorts of cool stuff like that.
That location's always been active.
Yeah.
We're the same. We're the same. I got you by a couple of years age-wise. That when I moved here 30 years ago now, that was one of the, I was drawn to Stillwater right away and that area, and that location that you go to, I've been there hundreds of times, and it's, there's the energy there is beautiful. You just feel it, and it draws you there. It's very peaceful. It's very, it's one of those locations that fills your life cup.
Yes.
So to speak,
and David, I bet you've been up to the High Bridge then too.
I have.
Have you guys seen the spectral up at the High Bridge?
I have looked. I have not seen it, but I have looked. I have not had the opportunity. For whatever reason, it doesn't want to let me participate in that yet. So hopefully that'll change. So
quiet nights. It seems like when it's a quiet, dark night, no moonlight, quiet nights. Another time to go out there is if you know that we got storms rolling in. Yep. When I was growing up, I grew up in New Richmond across the river. And we would go over to Somerset and we'd come in through the back way because the trains were still, keep in mind, the trains were still actually going back in the 80s there. Yep. And so we would sneak out there. And, it would be the big, scary thing in high school. Oh, let's go down to the High Bridge. And then you'd run like a, to get off the High Bridge because here comes the train. I mean, how stupid is that? Because that could have been deadly. Yeah. But, but there, I remember hearing, I never saw it personally. I remember kids in high school saying, yeah, we went out there, man. We were going to have a couple of beers or whatever, but we left. And it's like, well, why would you leave? And okay, guys, for any of you listening that are kids, okay, drinking age back in my day was 18. So, 18, if you're a senior, most of us were already of legal drinking age. So just be aware of that. But they'd be like, no, man, we could see this guy who was like kind of coming down. We figured it was a security guard or something because they could see like a light coming. So they say it's a man walking with a lantern. Now, one of my practitioners who works for me, his name is Wes, who used to live over in that area. His fiance's family is just right off of the road where the Alcola Trail, where it comes down. And so he said that he had seen it a few times, and you have to hit it when it's really dark. So no moonlit. And when a storm is coming in, like the energy, it gets real staticky and you can feel the vibration shift. And that's when generally you notice stuff out there. That's what I've been told. I
wonder if anybody's having an interaction with that, or if that truly is just a beautiful residual type of experience, or if there's been any interaction whatsoever with that specter.
I think it's more of a residual because it seems to be always the same patterning. And it's interesting that it's always when it's going to be stormy. So it makes you wonder, did something happen on a stormy night? Was there something going on that the conductor or the engineer had to get off or had to go check the track to make sure that there wasn't an animal or something stuck on it or whatever before they could move the train across? That is, even when I'm trying to tap in spiritually with that, I'm getting it's residual. It's not an intelligent haunt.
All right. Well, we need to move over to our topic.
I'm listening. Whatever you want to talk about. I'm yours.
It's my fault because I brought up the veil. So
it's okay.
I take blame on that one. So tell us, I know that there's a whole hell of a lot of history here, but tell us how you got involved in the witchcraft type.
Into the world.
How you got into the witchcraft world?
Okay, so again, born in a small town across the river here. And my whole life, I've always been able to see and talk to the dead. Now, when I was a little girl, I didn't know that they were dead people. And I would be talking to people all the time. And my mom would be like, okay, quit talking to the imaginary friend. And I'm like, you don't see Susie Q over here, or whoever I was hanging out with and talking to when I was real little. And my mom's like, it's an imaginary friend, Jodi, you got to stop this, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, but mom, you don't see. So I was just like, okay, well, whatever. My great grandmother passed away, and I was 3. I was probably like 3.5 when she died, going on almost 4. And it's one of my earliest memories. Now, I understood that my grandmother had died. I understood what the word was. I didn't understand what it truly meant. So my grandmother died. I called her Big Grandma because I had 2 Grandma Schmidts, a real tall one, almost 6 feet tall, and a short one. So Big Grandma. So Big Grandma was my great grandmother. And I was the only great grandchild. And so I was kind of special to my great grandma for obvious reasons. And when she passed away, she was sick with cancer. I remember going to the hospital to see her. And I remember her laying in the box with a whole bunch of flowers around it. I just thought she was sleeping, didn't think anything of it. And after she died, I would be talking to her. And my mother, would come in and she would catch me talking to her because she would come and sit in my bedroom with me. And my mom was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm talking to Big Grandma. And she's like, oh, how sweet. Like I'm praying or something. And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm talking to Big Grandma. And Big Grandma says XYZ. And like I would tell her something about her jewelry or whatever. And my mom would be like, how do you know that? And I'm like, Big Grandma's telling me. It wasn't until that moment that my mom realized, oh shit, she's seeing somebody that's not alive, So she talked to me about it and she asked me questions, and we went to church and I'd ask questions there, and I'd talk to the Sunday school teachers, which of course I irritated the Sunday school teachers because, I'm talking to the dead.
Right.
And I continued doing, my studies. I mean, I'm confirmed the whole 9 yards, and I'm Missouri Synod Lutheran, so it was really strict. But I could, that was the first, evidence of this. When I was just turned 7, my grandfather on my dad's side died. So this was my mom's grandma. Then I lost my dad's dad. And when he passed away, he came to visit me. Now you're seeing a pattern. And my mom was like, I'm going to let my dog out as we're talking here. And my mom was like, what do you mean you see Grandpa Asplin? And I'm like, I see Grandpa Asplin. And so she was just like, yeah, whatever. She just thought it was my way of dealing with grief. Well, 9 months after my grandfather died, my dad died. He had a widowmaker. I was 7 years old and he passed away. After he passed away and I was seeing him and I was talking to him, now my mom is like, oh, we got something going on here. And so I had to learn to cope with that. And sometimes I saw scary stuff. I mean, it's similar to the movie, The Sixth Sense. Like I see dead people. Now they don't always come to you scary. Sometimes they don't talk to you because they're residual. You might just be going at a glancing. Some are coming and looking for actual help. So I would do what I needed to do. And, I would talk to them, and sometimes they would ask me, hey, where's this person or where's that person? And I'd be like, well, I don't know where they are. And they're like, well, can you help me find them? And I had to learn that it was like they were coming and seeking information from me. And so I would try and help them. So I decided to go to the library because, let's go to the library because, maybe we'll be able to find something, right? And it's going to help me. Yeah, they had nothing in Richmond. So I had to wait until I was 16 to drive over to the Twin Cities to an occult bookstore to be able to figure stuff out. But I sat and meditated. I was sitting by the river one day and I'm talking to the universe. And I'm like, hey, if what I'm learning at church school is not necessarily right, and what I believe is that I can talk to people who have passed on because our spirits can communicate because we all love each other and we're all from like a light source. I want a rock to go over my foot. I'm sitting at the bank of a river. Kind of keep this in mind. A rock went over my foot. So you can look at it 2 ways. Is that a coincidence or am I learning something? So I said, so if I should believe that there's more to life than everything that I've been taught, I want a white rock to go over my foot. Now a white quartz, a river quartz went over my foot. So I'm going to test fate. I'm terrified of snakes, always have been. So I said, so if I shouldn't be listening to what they're teaching me in Sunday school and I should find my own path, I want to see a snake go across the river. Well, a snake came out of the grass, you guys, went right across the river, about 5 feet from me. I swear to God, I got up and I ran so fast, I don't think my feet touched the grass. I was terrified. So I started investigating. So I go into New Richmond, into their little library. There's one book about witchcraft because I didn't know what else. I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, well, I looked under yoga, all this stuff, and I found a book about witchcraft. Now, we talked about devil worship. Well, I knew that wasn't right. So I decided to wait until, and do what I could. And I just went out and I worked with like nature. I sat at a tree all the time and talked to the tree. And it was an oak tree in my house or in my yard. And it was a very old oak. It was 160 years old. And I think that it lived to probably, if it was about 160, at that time, yeah. So probably about 175 before it actually fell from a storm on the bank of the river there. But its name was Edwin. I have no idea why, or Irwin, I apologize, Irwin. And I'm like, I don't know why it was called Irwin. I don't know if somebody just called it that. I don't know if it was its name, but I learned I could communicate with the tree and I could communicate with the river and I could hear, different things speak and whatnot. And then I learned about spirit guides, and the spirit guides kind of helped me and talked me through things. So I was like, okay. So then when I became 16 and I could drive over to the Twin Cities and go to an occult bookstore and find people in the culture, that's where I learned about witchcraft. And I learned that what witchcraft is. First and foremost, the word witch means wise woman. And it's a craft of the wise woman. A witch can consist of an herbalist, a healer. Think of midwives. Many women who were midwives were called a witch, because when they wanted to get rid of you for political reasons, this is what they did. They hung you over this. So, or burnt you at the stake, depending on the situation. So I learned a lot through that. And then when it was 1984, and it was before I could drive, I saw Lori Cabot on Oprah Winfrey. She spoke out against Hollywood, because they had just released the movie, which is Eastwick, and there was this big thing about pentagrams all over, and that was devil worship and stuff, and she got a little miffed. She did a lot for witchcraft society, and making it a legal religion. She was the woman who had the very first witchcraft store in America. She's a wonderful woman. She's actually my reverend mother at this time now. And she intrigued me. She's like, do you understand that witches are healers? We are educators. We are lawyers, doctors, nurses, teachers, scholars. We do all this stuff for the community and to help people. We're not here to hurt anybody. We don't do these evil things that you say. Yes, we're psychics. Yes, we're mediums, but we are not anything bad or evil that you have to be afraid of. So with that being said, I was like, wow, what can I do to learn from her? So I eventually got over there. I didn't get over there until 2016. And then I got to meet Lori Cabot herself. I found out she did classes and I took classes. Now keep in mind, when I went out to meet her, I had already been doing this, you guys, for over 40 years. I didn't need an educator at this point, but I was intrigued by her because she teaches you about energy and how to move energy, which I was already doing. So I learned from books. I learned on my own and working with my spirit guides and the dead to kind of guide me. But not only that, there's covens. You can be a solitary witch, which is you practice on your own. You can be a part of a coven, and there's different variants. You could be an Alexandrian. You could be Garderian. You could be, I don't remember the proper name, but there's one that's Italian. You could be apart from the true Gypsy faith, which is Romani, they come from Romania. Romani, I believe it is. And so there's different variants, and they teach you similar but different. So it's about lineage. Now let's talk about hoodoo voodoo. That's cultural, and that's where Haitian and mixed with the Caribbean through the slavery trades way back when, going years and years and years back, because it came from the African culture. They mix that with a little bit of Christianity, and this is where you come with the voodoo hoodoo. Now, With voodoo, and I am not a voodoo practicing witch, it is a very close culture. You have to learn through lineage. Now, one of my practitioners, Wes, is a voodoo priest from New Orleans.
He's our
lives
guest
there.
next week.
Yes, he is one of my practitioners. I've known Wes for quite some time. In fact, he can tell you about the spectral with the high bridge, because it was him that lived over in that area.
Cool.
But he is amazing, and he taught me a couple different recipes and to help people with protection. Not that I am teaching this to people, but he had taught me some recipes that he does, that he sells, because he sells products at my store. And so we worked together, and I learned so many cool things that way. But I have done this my whole life. And I wasn't running away. I wasn't trying to piss off my parents or anything like that. This is my culture. It is truly about healing. I use herbs. Make medicinals. I teach people how to take care of themselves and get away from the pharmaceuticals. Now, I will never tell a type 1 diabetic to not take their insulin, because you will die. I'm an RN. I'm not going to do something to harm somebody, but I am all about making sure people can do things and they can get into like proper eating and taking medicinals from Mother Earth to heal themselves, because we can do that. That's my witchcraft. Can I do spells and move energy and change things? Absolutely. People come to me all the time. I'm also a Reiki master, and I'm certified in healing touch. So yes, I work with energies to do energy healing. And for me, it's a lineage. My daughter is a medium. She has been able to see the dead and talk to the dead since the day that girl was born. My son is empathic. He can feel and sense energies. And when somebody walks into the room and their energy is off, you'll see my whole son's demeanor change. I mean, so it is something that I have taught my children to not be afraid of. So many kids, when they're seeing the dead, they're afraid. And so I try to teach people not to be afraid, and I teach you to harness your skills and then move it forward. That's what witchcraft is in my world. Yes, there's rituals, but I want you to think about the Catholic Church. Isn't it ritualistic that you say Hail Marys? Isn't it ritualistic that the priests go up and down with the incense burner because they're doing frankincense and myrrh? What are they doing it? They're doing it to cleanse, right? To get rid of the negativity, making your sins go away. They're doing their mantra. They're doing different things. It is a way of doing meditation. It is a form of prayer. When we do spell work is a prayer. We are doing a ritualistic circle to protect us from negative energies coming in. We utilize and call in elements to assist us. We do not ask gods or goddesses to do our biddings and our work for us. We ask for their assistance and guidance to maybe, I don't know, give us their energy to push us down the right pathway, or to build up our own energies, but we never, ever, ever abuse anything. And when we do our craft and we have utilized these energies, we give back. So we always give back gratitude, whether it's water back to the earth or fertilizer of some sort, like your coffee grounds, putting it in your flower beds as a fertilizer. You give back. If you take something, you are going to give back, because it's got to be a balance. It's got to be an equal trade. We also state in our spell work, by all means, this is for the good of all. And in no way can this come back and harm anybody or anything, because we don't believe in harming. That's the biggest stigma I would love to get across. We are not worshiping a devil. We are not out to get you. We are not into cursing and hexing. We are into caring for people and healing people. The TikTok craze has gone crazy. These kids that originally went out and were, I don't know, they were hexing the moon and cursing the fairies and stuff like that. They're playing with fire. They cannot do stuff like that, because it's going to hurt them. They're going to hurt themselves, and they're going to piss off elements in this world that you don't want to be pissing off. And you could cause generational trauma to your family and your lineage by doing that, because they're going to come back. They remember. It's kind of like you guys know what crows are. Everybody knows a crow. A crow will watch a person and you become their pet. And if they like you, they'll bring their children, their baby crows to you. I have a whole family of crows that know who I am. They're like, hey, come check out the crazy crow lady. She'll give you things. And they bring me things back. Now, if I would do something to piss them off, I guarantee you, not only you will be known by that crow family, all the crows in the surrounding neighborhoods, they talk and you'll hear them banter back and forth and they get angry. So the murder of crows, which is 3 or more crows, will actually remember who you are and they get angry. They're a strange bird. When a crow dies, they actually hold a funeral for their own. It's crazy. I mean, and I've been terrified of birds my whole life up until about, I'd say 6 years ago. And I have a thing for crows because I didn't realize it because I thought it was Hecate coming to me until the Morgan came up and walloped me in the head and said, I'm not Hecate, I'm the Morgan. It's like, oh, well, okay, then my bad. I'm so sorry. Now I'm okay with the crows. Odin is another god. He is Norse and he is big with, Munich and Nunnik were his two. They were ravens, but ravens and crows, the same kind of family there. But yeah, so that's where the witchcraft comes from me. So yes, I did go out. I studied under Lori Cabot. I am a 2nd-degree Cabot witch. So I'm technically a part of the lineage out in Salem. She has got what is called the Cabot Kent Hermetic Temple. She works a lot with the Hermetic theories. So think Tesla and how he works with stuff. It's a fascinating thing. I can't divulge a lot into it because I am a 2nd-degree. I'm not a 3rd. I am not one of their elders. And there's certain things you can talk about and there's other things you can't because it's not closed. Anybody can go become a Cabot, but you got to go through the proper training. And I would never dishonor my Reverend Mother or my brethren with that. But for those of you that do listen, if you've heard of the famous author Christopher Penczak, have you guys heard of him?
No.
Okay, so Christopher Penczak is a very famous author, and he runs the Temple of Witchcraft out on the East Coast. I believe it's in Connecticut. He was a Cabot, and he was a 3rd degree, and he moved on and created his own temple. So once you hit that 3rd degree, you can go and you can move on. There are actually 3. Oh, where's my hand there? There are 3 Cabot witches here in Minnesota. We range all over the world, to be quite honest with you, because Lori is very well followed and very well renowned. She spoke a lot here in America for us as witches. So that's kind of my lineage, but I've done it my whole life. I've always done this. This is just my thing. My parents were not witches. As far as I am aware, none of my grandparents or any of my lineage were witches. I would be what you would call a 1st generation. I will say though, my grandmother used to go out and speak at German because she was German descent. She went and spoke German at her gardens and she'd throw stuff and she would do these kind of crazy symbols and stuff and yell at her gardens. And I'd always ask her when I was little, Grandma, what are you doing? Well, you don't need to worry about that. I'm just telling my gardens the way it's going to be this year and how they're going to grow. So,
I love
so
grandmas for that.
Was she a witch or wasn't she? It's folk. So you think about your folk traditions, it would be called folk magic, right? Or, superstitions, folk superstitions. There's a little witch in every single one of us because we carry these traditions. I mean, how many of you guys, okay, if you guys are sports fans, what is it called? Rally hats. Let's flip our rally hats inside out. You could call that a spell because you're putting your energy out there for your team to win. That's what this is about. This is about manifestation. It's how you take your energy and work it in the proper avenues to create that manifestation that you're seeking to achieve. So does that give you a little bit of a clarification?
Just a little.
Actually, what that did is I wrote down 14 questions, which we're never going to get to.
Well, ask away.
But I want to. I'm my first question for you, and we're backtracking like way back here. I am very curious as to your conversations with nature and talking to the trees and talking to things that grass and water and things that we as human beings walk by and just take for granted every single day. So your ability to communicate with that, I personally am intrigued as to how your conversations go. Like, how is your communication? Is it telepathic? Is it more than telepathic? Is it gut feelings? What is it?
It's a little of all. So here's the best way for me to explain it. When I was a little girl, how I started this, when I was real little, I hate math. Go figure, I'm a nurse. I hate math. And I was not good at math. So I would sit under my big oak tree that I talked about, Irwin. And I would lean up against it and I would be studying. I'm just studying. And I'd be struggling with stuff and I could feel a vibration. This is how it started. I felt a vibration. What I didn't realize is I was grounding and centering. I was calming my body. I was settling into myself to let the negativity and anxiety go. And the tree was helping me because it could feel it. And so it was kind of encompassing me and its energy. And you're sitting between root systems, right, and you'd feel the vibration, like a little bit of the dirt and whatnot underneath. I'm thinking I'm settling in, but apparently it was a little bit different because Erwin is telling me this. But this is where this conversation led. And I hear the name in my head. And I was just like, okay, well, that's, weird. Why do I hear this weird name? And, I'd talk out loud, like, well, that's weird. I wonder what that is. And then you start having almost like this weird conversation in your own head. And no, I'm not crazy. This is just how it starts. And then I put my hand on the tree and I'm like, so are you the one talking to me? And I almost felt like a vibration. Like I literally kind of felt like my hand would move, like the root was moving with me. And then I'm like, so your name is Erwin. Well, hi, Erwin. My name is Jodi. It's nice to meet you. And I'm being cordial. I'm a little girl, so I'm going to be cordial. And I started and I said, Erwin, I'll tell you what, if you help me do really good on my math test, I'll bring you something really nice. This is how it started. I got an A on my math test. So I brought back some water and I went and I pulled pretty stones like agates and stuff out of the river. And I put it along the base of the tree in its root system so that nobody would hit it when they were like mowing the lawn or anything. And this is how it started. And as I worked with that, and as my dead grandparents and family members would come and talk to me, I asked questions. I'm like, why is the tree talking to me? And I didn't understand it at the time, but it was my spirit guide, and his name is Henry, and he's still with me to this day. And Henry's like, but honey, everything talks. And he literally was kind of walking around with me, and he's like, can you feel this vibration? It's like, yeah, that's the earth. And this is Mother Earth talking to you, and this is the grass. And yes, a part of it was actually in my head, like a telepathic communication. But if I spoke out loud, every once in a while, I could hear the whispering coming through my ears. Like, and it just sounded like a faint whisper, like, yes, that's correct. Just real quiet. And it was slow. So I want you to think about when you're doing your EVPs, when a spirit has got to build that energy to speak back, when they respond, and let's say they're going to say their name is William, and you say, what's your name? Instead of coming out William, it's William, because they've got it's going to be more of a drawn out because it takes the energy, and they've got to find that vibration to hit with you that you can resonate and hear it. So there's a lot of different, like, I guess it's physics, science type stuff with it that I don't understand the full grasp of it yet, but I don't think we're meant to, because we understood everything. It'd get pretty damn boring around here on Earth, correct? So, there's got to be a little.
We like to label stuff. Human beings love to label stuff. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I think mankind feels a need to label shit, and then it's just you're never going to have the proper answer. But if somebody who's got a couple of doctorates hanging on a wall says something or writes a paper about it, the next thing you know, all of a sudden now we've got a new term for something that's really unexplainable. And the world runs with it, except for people like me and you and a few other people who are like, what the hell's that?
And you get a question. And what I learned is as I learned the vibrations and stuff, other things learned that they could sense that my vibration was there. And they were like, oh, wait a minute. If the tree can do it, then I want to do it. And then if that tree can do it, then why can't I? And it's like, it started out with the nature coming to me. I've got this beautiful tree in my front yard. And its name is Asha. And Asha's got to come down this year, and it's very sad. But the base, it's an ash tree, and it's cracked from the ground all the way up. And this last April, when we had that heavy snow, it broke some of the tops of the branches off, so they're like severed up there. And I'm waiting for the tree company to come because they were so backed up. And my tree guy is fantastic, and I'm just devastated over it because I don't want to take it down because I feel like I'm hurting my tree, and Asha is in so much pain. that she keeps saying to me, when are they coming? When is it going to happen? And I'm like, I'll call again, Ash. I'll call again, because the tree is suffering. And so nature suffers too. Now, granted, I have saplings off of her. And so I've planted her saplings across the road into it's kind of like a swampy kind of area. It's like a little nature preserve. So I actually went over and planted some of her trees, her little pieces that have grown off, so that Asha will continue on. It'll be her piece of her, like a part of her energy. So, but that's just a part of it. And it's like with the dead too. It's like when one of them starts seeing that you are able to do it, like Mike got to see me this last weekend, or it was a week ago, this last Saturday on the 14th. I was like, okay, y'all got to slow down. There's like 150 grandmas in here having a good time, and y'all got to get in line, because holy crap, it was overwhelming. I don't know any of these people that came in. I did not know one of the people that came to my gallery. Not one of them. Never seen them before. Didn't know anybody. And that's fine. You know, that I didn't know anybody. Spirit comes through, and it was just like there was one lady, and I'm like, okay, what's the deal with the car? I'm getting nothing, but I kept seeing this blue car, and I'm like, what? And I was like, did the person get killed by a car? I don't want to say that because I don't want to upset anybody. I'm not meant to know. Words come through, symbols come through, and I'm just supposed to spew it out, because the person that's supposed to hear it is going to know. At the very beginning, I saw an older man. I'm describing him. He's balding. He's got a big old white beard. He's kind of portly. He's not super tall, but he's not real short either. He was kind of like maybe 5'9", 5'11". And but he was portly. He was older. He was wearing a flannel shirt. And nobody's like, nope. Emily went over to go talk to the one guy, I think, that works in the kitchen. He's the owner of the VFW. And he's like, oh my God, she's talking. I think his name was Larry. She's talking about Larry. Who the hell's Larry? I don't know who the hell Larry is. And so afterward, she goes, Jodi, she goes, I want to take and show you something. And I said, okay. So her and Callan take me over, and there was a bulletin board. It's nowhere that anybody could see, but because it went around and back by the kitchen area. And it was a VFW member who had passed away. And damned if it wasn't him, because he wanted to know what the hell I was doing in there. You know, this is his bar. Why are you guys here? I mean, there was obviously vets in there, and you know, this was their hangout. The dead go to where they felt comfortable, where they were, you know, it was like a routine type thing. They go to where they're comfortable. Yeah, they go to see their family and everything, but they go to where they're comfortable because it makes sense to them. So if you died on your way to work and you were driving to work being a nurse, you're probably going to show up walking around dead at the hospital because you're going to work. Until you realize that you've passed, you might be stuck in that for a while. And I'm sure you guys have seen that through time. So yeah, so it all kind of co-links. So is every witch a psychic medium? No. Is every psychic medium a witch? No. I actually work with Christian witches too. So no, there is no rhyme or reason. There isn't a proper way to do anything. A lot of questions asked to me are about Wicca. Is Wicca and witch the same thing? No, they're two different things. Wicca, or a Wiccan, they worship nature. They actually look at it as a religion. I don't. I utilize nature and I work with nature, but I'm an outright witch. I don't believe in the norm of Jesus being my one and only true savior. I believe in a God source that is both male and female equally, and it's a life source that we all have within us. It's the great creator. It's very similar to Native American, to be quite frank.
Right. It sounds like a Native American thought.
And that's what witches are. It's kind of the same thing. It's just a different culture. It came from Europe instead of our indigenous. It's the same exact thing.
So we only have like 10 minutes left now. So I as much as I don't want to like switch gears here, because I know that Dave and I both have like 20 questions now, but for you and for Wes next week, I think it's very important to talk about, and you mentioned it earlier, about the stigma. You know, whenever somebody hears witchcraft, they immediately go to, you know, devil worship and upside down pentagrams, and you're going to cast a curse on me, and all this other stuff. And what I learned from like Wes's thing last, on the 14th, and from you as well, is that's not even close to being the truth.
No.
So my question is, where did history go wrong? Like where
Christianity. It was political.
You just went right for the
yeah.
heart.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, because that's what it is. It wasn't meant to do it to be evil. I want you to think of it this way. I'm going to try and do as fast as I can. You have villagers, pagans, okay? Whether you're Viking, that doesn't matter what you were. It could be in Africa. It could be here in America with the indigenous. It didn't matter. When the Christianity movement came through, they were trying to do the right thing by saving everybody. And it's very beautiful. They took it political, because what could happen is you come into a village and you start talking to the village about Jesus, and you got to follow the Catholic Church, and you got to give your money and give all your time to the Catholic Church, because guess what? We're going to save you from whatever. Your villagers are going to look at you and say, you cray, because grandma over here, she is the medicine woman, and she's the one that's been taking care of all of us, birthing these babies and taking care of our dead, and da-da-da-da-da. So what are you going to do? We had to get rid of that medicine woman. So they're going to call her out as a witch or the bad person, devil worship, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And they're going to create a story and a fear within that community. So they take away that main community person who was their founder, right, to take care of everybody. And now everybody is so afraid that they're coerced into following the Christianity. When you talked about the pentagram, okay, and the flip upside down, Christianity took the pentagram, flipped it upside down. So a pentagram is the 5-point star with a circle around it. I'm going to give you two visuals. If you've ever seen a medical book where the human man is standing with his hands straight out and his legs spread and a circle around him, mm-hmm. What does that represent, guys?
Pentagram.
Energy and a pentagram. The pentagram, the top represents spirit, the all. Then you go around and it's the elements. It is air for east, it is fire for south, it is west, and it's water, and it's to your left is going to be earth, and that's green, right? Nature, north. And then you take the circle to encompass it all, because you have to have all of the elements to make it work. You want to go scientific or sci-fi with me? Go to the movie Bruce Willis. I can't think of it. All of a sudden I'm drawing a blank.
Sixth Sense?
The fifth element. So it has the 5 elements. When they get all the stones, because they're gonna stop the big black thing from coming in that movie. So Bruce Willis is standing in the middle, and they take all 4 of those stones. Every single one of them represented an element. They needed fire. They needed sweat for the water. They needed to have wind, right? And so they had the earth, the sand was earth. And then they put her in the center with the white beam coming down, which is the life, the God source. There was your 5th element. That is what the pentagram represents. Christianity flipped it upside down, made it look like the horned God, which is something they created. There is no devil. There is no hell. And that's one of the biggest things going on right now, because younger people are walking away from conformed religion. Why do you think there's such, they are bringing in this, the rapture, they're bringing in, we've got this spiritual war going on. Who's got the spiritual war going on? Because us pagans over here, we all think you're crazy. You're the ones that are creating the havoc, not us. So, did that answer it?
Oh, very much so. And I completely agree, because, I've done, we did a show on the afterlife, and I looked up different theories about the afterlife from different religions and different cultures and whatever. And I kept on seeing about how people in like masses rejected this theory. So the Christian church took a little from column A, took a little from column B, and created an entirely new theory that people would accept. And
Christianity is the wealthiest religion there is. Not only that, look at the Vatican. Just look at the Vatican City. Look at everything that they have. It was about power. It was about politics. And it was about money.
I want to go to the Vatican archives. I want to go dig through the toy room. And I want to go dig through the toy room and see what the hell they hoarded over all that time when they were taking all those great artifacts from all those pagan groups, right? and they would go and they'd steal everything they could steal, because if they take away the beliefs from that pagan system and replace it with the Bible, they're going to conform.
If you go to Europe and you go to some of these really old cathedrals, you will see pentagrams everywhere built into those cathedrals.
Yeah.
You will see gods and goddesses that belong to the Romans and to the Greeks and whatnot, and these pagan religion symbols all over these churches. That's how they kept it alive. The fact is you got to wonder a lot of, there's so many different theories out there, but yeah, Christianity is what really killed. That's what made it look so evil. And that's what it was. Because if you go to the Native American culture, you go to the indigenous, they're just medicine men and women. In fact, I know indigenous people, and it's like, they didn't do anything wrong. They were just they took what the land gave them, and they never took more than what they needed. They weren't greedy. Aztecs, the Mayans, they all did the same thing. They were pushed out because of famine and probably due to disease. That's what happened to the Aztecs and the Mayan, but there's still cultures around. There is so much history out there that different governments and different religious groups are trying to keep hidden because they want to keep us conformed. And it doesn't matter. You go overseas, you don't see that. They're pulling up Medusa and Hecate temples. Do you see their government trying to hide it from their people? No. So why would we? There's indigenous stuff all over the place, beautiful stuff. But boy, we don't want to touch anything. Don't allow the people to come and see this kind of stuff. Why? What are you so afraid of? Because we might think, because we might have a brain for ourselves, and you're going to pull us, and we're going to say, no, we're not going to do it your way anymore.
Right. It's all about control.
It is, 100%.
Yeah. I wanted to get into color magic, but there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell we're going to do that with 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
And I'll tell you what, Wes and I have the same exact thing, and I'm doing a seance next week, so it won't be available. But you're on with Wes from 6 to 9?
No, he's actually coming on 8 to 9.
8 to 9. Okay. If I can get out of there and pop in with you guys, I can click on the link. It might be closer to 8:30. He will talk to you about color magic. His color magic is identical to mine. Okay. Color magic is same across the grade. It's across the grade. It's all the same. Okay. And you're going to find there's so much similarity between him and I. And we come from 2 different cultures, but we mesh so well. I love Wes to death. We are just, yes. And he is building a church. He's working with a church down in Faribault. He's going to talk to you all about it. It is the Church for the Mystics. It's for people like me. It's fantastic. I'm super excited for him. But yeah, he is. And you guys, for all you guys listening, come on into Midwest Witchery and Healing. I am in downtown Stillwater. You guys can come and see me. You can talk to me yourself. I'm in the Grand Garage, right next to the Tiki Bar and the Bridal Shop. But come and visit. Yeah, we've got psychics there. We've got mediums there. We got tarot readers, crystal ball, palmists. We've got it all. And if you want to come and learn about witchcraft, I do classes. We offer classes there. I'll talk to you. You don't have to pay me a penny. You just come in and say, hey, I want to talk to Witch Jodi. I heard her on the show. I got questions, man. Come in and see me. I'm there all the time. I'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this coming week. And you can find me online at www.midwestwitcheryhealing.com. It has my hours on there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Yeah, hit me up. I'm always willing to talk. Love to come back on the show, you guys, where we have more time.
Love to have you back.
And this time you're going to come on for 2 hours.
I will, because you know what? It's that time of year where people come running at me, but December would be great. I'm gone in November for 3 weeks. I go to Hawaii. I know you're jealous, but I got to get away. I got to reset.
No, I am jealous. 3 weeks in Hawaii sounds like a beautiful time. Yeah.
But after Thanksgiving, I am back. I come back the week of Thanksgiving. So definitely, Mike, stay in touch with me. I'd love to come back. I'd love to support you guys. Got to get you out. I did see your email. I didn't forget. I will check into this couple of things for you, but we got to get you out to the Grand Garage. We'll do something. We will work together. And I'll get you that info. I'll be in touch with you this week for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you making that effort. A lot of people just would have been like, I missed it and moved on with life.
Yep.
So I really appreciate you, just trying to make sure you came on.
I just had to take care. I had to take care of a client, and I am so sorry that But what do? You got to help those in need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. Well, that does it here for us tonight. Stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here next week, where we will have West Armistead, and very excited to talk to him again. And we'll see you then. Have a good